against that. So it's probably time to respond to what Blue had said. If y'all were listening.
Curve showed a curved. What's his name? Blue showed a curved baseline, did he?
Blue said simply that when you're using the horizontal, you don't. There's nothing that says you have to use the surface of the Earth to be that baseline, that horizontal baseline. The horizontal.
But that's where you're on.
The horizontal can be established however it is you decide to establish the horizontal. And
you're trying to figure out your position on the surface of the Earth. That's what you're trying to figure out.
Yeah, and if you're measuring elevation, you're using a horizontal.
That's why you have a horizontal. It's a distance from you to the GP.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
That's wrong. That's wrong. That's a lie. It's a lie.
Fuck, are you okay?
Show him and me where he's wrong, how he's wrong, and explain it articulately.
Merle, if you see something in the sky, if you see an airplane in the sky, or anything, a star in the sky, and you want to determine the angular elevation of that object, the star, the airplane, it doesn't matter that you know what spot beneath it, where the spot beneath the plane is on the ground. All that matters is that you establish a horizontal from where you are, and then once you establish that horizontal, you can then measure the difference of the angle between the horizontal you created and the object in the sky. And that tells you the elevation angle of that object. That's all that needs to be done. So that's what Blue is saying, that you don't have to actually be referencing the ground in order to do this. You just need to establish a horizontal, however it is you decide to do that.
But how do you get the distance from you to the GP if that's a tangent line that goes up into the air?
Yeah, that's gotten by the actual size of the Earth. You get the zenith angle and you multiply it by 60 nautical miles, and that works because of the globe. But that's not a really good question for you to ask, because you don't have an answer for that question. If I were to ask you that question, there's no way to, like I said, there's no way to do that on a flat plane.
It's a straight line. That's my point.
And then determine. Yeah, no, but there's no distance.
It's a straight horizontal line. Regardless of if you want to ask me for distances, the fact is that it's a straight horizontal line. Because if it's a tangent line, then it's going straight up into the air.
Okay, I've got you back now, bro. Okay, so
it would be a straight line on a horizontal on a flat Earth. It would be a horizontal straight line. Now, we agree with that. It would be a 90-degree angle, just like you draw the picture. The problem is, that's not what the Earth is.
Do the same rules apply?
Try using those angles with Polaris and see if you can get 60 nautical miles per degree, and you cannot. The only way to do that is on a sphere.
Sharky, can I just jump in, then you can go?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Do the same rules apply at sea and on land?
Sure.
Okay, so
you're just trying to figure out the distance along the surface to that position.
It helps though if you wet the land a bit before.
Can you guys concede that at sea, the sextant, the GP, is an even plane? The surface of the water has to be. You assume
you have to give me a reason to concede.
Come on, you guys.
You haven't made an argument that's compelling to cause us to concede on that. You can't show how getting an angle of elevation on a flat Earth can give you the distance to the GP. It's a simple
over water.
Need to wash, Merle.
Over water.
Not a plane.
Over water, you guys state and claim that it's impossible to get your GP on anything that isn't a curved surface, when the water itself can't be.
Water is not a plane.
That's exactly what it is. The surface is. It extends in every direction. Water always finds its level.
Water is flat.
Water is
not
curve. Thanks, Bev.
Whoever said it, whether they've got one eye and one leg and a boring personality, if it's true, it's true.
Yeah, but in this
You
case, it's
guys
not
need
true.
to understand this.
True.
It's not about being cool.
Show
but
that
not
it's true.
Merle, I think what you want to say is the word level, because the water is level, but there's no reason to call it a plane. A plane is a specific thing. It's a flat,
Okay.
horizontal.
Well, let's bring it back to Globus, but I agree with you there, Coach. I think our terminologies, flat Earth, globe Earth, all of us don't always explain ourselves, and if the room isn't getting it, we need to hone in with our language as best we
We know
can.
intuitively that water is flat and motionless when at rest and contained.
I'll agree to
Right.
that if you can show me how the angle of elevation gets you the distance to the GP on a flat Earth.
Yeah, because if it is a flat plane, these basic
Does
measures,
it really need addition? Does anything more need to be said or asked, or does it just need to be answered?
Okay.
On a flat Earth, Globus wouldn't answer it. He wouldn't even hear it.
Okay. I think there's two things here, and I want to answer your question, Curve, but when you guys hear flat plane, do you imagine something?
I imagine North Pole in descent.
Why is Lemonbird interrupting? Merle, answer the question, please.
Come on, Mel.
Okay,
You said you're going to spoof on. I mean, you got Globus's back. So
I have
answer
got
the question
Globus's
for
back.
it.
I have got
Be
Globus's
careful,
back.
Merle.
clean it
Globus
off
just
his
had his
back.
first period recently.
Listen, I came to support him because it's about
Then
distraction.
do it.
I am.
Answer the question.
Answer the question, man. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't even listen to the question.
Question.
Simple
So
question.
you're at sea, okay? You're on the surface of the water. That's your ground position, right? And then you get your sextant, and that's where you get your horizontal, looking over the surface of the water. Then what do? You get your zenith, your arc angle, all that stuff, right? This is what Curved has been banging on about for years. This is the tool to do it.
All right, so you get your zenith angle, and then what?
What?
You get your zenith angle. Now, how does that give you your distance to the GP on the flat Earth?
Isn't it the same on a globe or a flat Earth?
Don't ask a question. Answer the question. How does it give us the distance to the GP?
Well, I'm probably going to say the wrong thing here, but
yes, you will.
There's basically a triangle. And whatever the angles are of that triangle, you measure the distances from the angles.
How?
How does that give you the distance?
Well, whatever the angle is, that will determine the shape of the fucking arc and the triangle it forms.
Okay,
what if the angle is 27
And depending
degrees?
on what you're looking at,
does that
so
give you
what the star...
Okay, Mel, let's go with that. What if the angle is 30 degrees? What distance would that be, Mel?
Well, again, it depends on, say, if you're getting your location from a star, you've already got a pre-assumed calculation.
I've measured I've measured the elevation angle to be 30 degrees. So how far away am I from the ground point of that star?
Well, so you already assume to know the distance of the star.
No.
Well, that's why
I'm not assuming that at all. All I know, Mel, is that the angle of elevation to the star is 30 degrees. How far away is the GP of that star from me? Go. How do you calculate that, Mel?
Well, whatever the angle is...
30 degrees. I already told you that.
Okay. So if it's 30 degrees and the maximum it can go, is 90? Right?
Yeah.
Go on, carry on. Hammer it home.
No, I think there's something interesting here because you guys have a determined model.
No, the interesting thing here, Merle, is that you're not actually doing the calculation for us.
No, but the reason I'm stalling is because I'm realizing something and I'm just sitting with it. Because it's like saying before everybody knew the calculations and the distances, mathematics, all this stuff, this is how we describe the reality we're in. The sextant then comes to the fore.
You see, the reality of it is, Merle, that the sextant was designed after the shape of the Earth was actually known. Okay? That's what the reality is.
It's irrelevant on a flat Earth. There is no globe to consider here. We're simply looking at how does the angle of elevation or your zenith angle give you your distance to the GP on a flat Earth. Now, you've got Slobus's back here, Merle.
Another way to ask is, can you not multiply 60 by 60 in your head?
No, that's a trap.
Unfair.
That's a trap. That's a trap.
So that would be 90 minus 30 degrees or 60 degrees times 1 nautical mile per degree. So 60 nautical miles per degree, rather. So it would be 60 times 60 or 300 and 3,600 nautical miles.
Are you still here? I'll hand it to you.
So 60 times 60 gives you 3,600 nautical miles.
Lemon, you're having a conniption. Calm down, relax.
And you multiply that times 1.15 Merle to get the regular miles, statute miles away, or just add
what
like
does that have? That didn't give us anything.
Yeah, it gave you 3,600 nautical miles, or the 6 more. So it's 3,600. That's like 600 more miles, so 4,200 miles away, roughly.
How'd you get that 3,600?
Fuck sake.
Listen, nautical miles per degree.
Merle, you wouldn't answer the question. Got to swoop in and save the day for you.
Was curved.
Mama Bird Lemon is going to chew up the worm and
Lord.
spit it into your mouth.
You assume that it's directly overhead at 90 degrees, so as you get further away from it, it would dip a certain number of degrees per distance. It's assumed that the star will dip 1 degree per 60 nautical miles. So if it goes from 90 to 30 degrees above the horizon, that's 90 minus 30 or 60 degrees of dip. So you take that 60 degrees of dip times 60 nautical miles per degree, and there you go.
He's on a broken loop.
Boom.
I'm trying to have a conversation here. Curves asking me a question.
Boom.
Lemon, how did you get that 3,600 nautical miles again?
90 minus 30 to get the angle above the horizon of 60 degrees from 90 to 30. Where do you get that
formula from?
We just assumed it on a globe.
Oh, okay. We assumed it on a globe. It works in reality. How can you apply it to a flat Earth?
They just saw how much the stars dip when you look at them as you go away from them in the distance. So that's practical observation, but that could work on a flat surface as well. It would work on a flat surface.
You've been shown up. Well,
because
you can't show it working
in the hallway due to perspective in a similar way.
The hallway, come on.
We don't live in a hallway.
They dip in a similar rate, so it's it can happen.
I want you to show this on hallway, Lemon. Come on.
Lemon should not be allowed to speak. Not like this.
The Earth is just a big, long hallway, essentially.
You know the man. You know it.
It's a big, long hallway with a dome top.
Lemon, what you just said is it could work on a flat plane, and what you just did was you multiplied a number by a constant number. Okay. So why don't you show us how that could work on a flat plane? How the angles can multiply by a regular number, the same number, 60 nautical miles, to give us the distance.
So it looks like they derived their constant from being at the equator and seeing how far the sun traveled to go a degree on the horizon or whatever, or overhead. And so they got that constant at the equator and assumed that worked for the whole ball Earth. The thing is, that's a bad assumption because that's based off of the rate of the sun's travel at a particular point of the flat plane. That's all.
Yet it gets you where you want to get.
It's good enough when you're in the northern hemisphere and close to there, but it's increasingly off as you get toward the southern hemisphere, or rather toward the southern hemiplane, toward the outer perimeter of our flat plane.
No, it works fine in the south.
Do you feel bailed out yet,
It's good enough, but it can be better. We can match the southern hemiplane better.
Shit than what you were
It
saying.
won't work at all.
The heat off of you, Merle. You should be appreciative.
This is why people in Rowbotham's day were like, we're not getting the right degrees, we're getting too much land down here, we're out of reckoning, what's going on? And that implies that the globe reckoning is a little off in some way.
Bird, if you don't mind, can I just finish this, please? Now, was Curves and Paul, it was a loaded question. You're asking for the distance on a flat Earth. What flat Earth, for a start? Now stop fucking with me and stop these loaded questions.
It's a flat plane, whether you want to call it whatever you want to call it.
But it's a setup. You guys are asking impossible things.
Well, no, Merle, for context.
Mel, to be fair, you're saying there's no curve. It doesn't work on a curve. That must. What is it, and how does it work?
Well, to be clear, that's Globus's. This should be clear, Merle. That was Globus's argument. Well, he was showing us that these calculations for celestial navigation doesn't work on a globe, but it does work. And so we were asking, okay, so what are these numbers on the flat plane then? Because if it doesn't work on a globe, but it works, how do you do with that?
And how do you do what? Get the distances with a sextant to the stars from Earth.
Yeah, that's the first step for the celestial navigation.
Right. Well, I don't know if he's still here, but that wasn't very nice, guys. Thanks.
Well, but I think they were just continuing the argument that Globus was having. And you did come in and you did say you were backing them up. That's why they were.
You did.
Yeah, I did walk into it. Cheers.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that was
But Merle, you would agree that
learned there, Merle, don't back up stupid, mate.
But Merle, you would agree that based off of the flawed globe reasoning, if you have a star that's directly overhead and it dips 1 degree per 60 nautical miles, they would assume by their flawed globe reasoning that if it goes from 90 to 30 degrees above the horizon, well, 90 minus 30 means that it's dipped 60 degrees. And so by that flawed, incorrect globe reasoning, they take 60 times 60 nautical miles per degree to get 3,600 nautical miles away from the object to make it dip that much. You would agree with that, would you not? Even though that's flawed, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So if it's flawed, why does it work?
We can play a game. It's called I don't know, let's say there's 10 people all looking at the North Star, 10 of us looking at the North Star, and we all try to determine our distance to the GP of the North Star. What's going to happen is we're all going to end up determining our distance to the North Pole. And you can go ahead and check this and see that it's correct or whatever. If you did the same thing with the flat Earth, scenario, like the way Globus had drawn it out, and you're trying to figure out the GP or these different people's distance to the star, they're all going to get the star at a different height and a different distance, and it doesn't work out that way.
Why is
at
that?
least on this model, because for every single person, let's say that let's say me, you, and Lemon all did it to the North Star, and we all got different distances, okay? And then we measured to the North Pole, and that distance is correct, right? If we then translated that to the flat Earth, like the pictures Globus had, that would be our baseline, and then we would measure the angle, and we'd all have different angles, which would make sense on the globe, but on the flat plane model, all our heights to Polaris would be different. Like I would have a different height than you would, and so would Lemon, even though we're looking at the same object. It should have a consistent height.
All I can say to that, Kosho, is rather than saying a flat plane, we can say on a globe or on a body of a surface of water, i.e. an ocean. Don't have to call it a flat plane. Just call it an ocean.
Yeah, ocean on a globe.
No,
question.
An ocean isn't on the Earth from the ocean tells you that the Earth can't be a globe.
Listen, Mel,
But you guys want to pretend it is.
Lemon can say everything he wants about the South Hemisphere because he never was there. But you live there in Australia, with ships back in the day sailed from Australia to the UK and back, and always go to the destination. No problem. So you can't say no, it doesn't work on the South Hemisphere.
So you're taking a constant dip rate and just applying it to a globe, but you could apply it to a flat surface too. No problem.
Yes,
Absolutely.
problem. You know it. You know it, Lemon.
Well, you observed how long it took an object to dip toward the horizon and how many miles it took for it to dip.
No.
You basically observed with a observation that it dipped at 1 degree per 60 nautical miles, and you decided to apply that to a globe instead of to a flat surface. But you could apply that to the ceiling of a hallway or any object sticking out of the ceiling of said hallway, just like you could over a flat Earth, as long as it's at a constant elevation. So it's just going to give you a
I want
constant
you to
rate.
show me in your hallway how come that the same distance apply to every object that is on the ceiling of the hallway.
You just made an observation and just
How
applied
is it
it
1 degree
arbitrarily to a
is
globe.
always the same distance in your hallway?
It's going to be the same distance as long as the body that you're observing is at the same elevation, flat or round. It's not definitive for a globe, though, because it can work on a flat surface. You just clocked a constant rate. That's it.
Lemon, you know the math doesn't work, right?
In what way?
In what way? That if something is on the ceiling, which is the same elevation, and you get away from it, the distance will not be always the same for every angle, every
Neither
degree.
is it on our Earth.
It is.
Varies on the Earth as well.
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
Yes, it does. That's why Polaris lingers toward the horizon when you get toward the equator. You can see it up to 23
We
degrees
don't care
south
about the
of the
horizon.
equator because it's lingering, which is showing it's not 1
Oh,
degree per
again, this
60 nautical
bullshit, Lemon.
miles.
This you
It
haven't.
changes from
But
something more like 1 degree per
Lemon,
70
you say
nautical
this.
miles or whatever. It
You
appears
say,
to slow down and linger like
yeah,
the rate is being stretched out.
yeah.
Yep.
You failed to provide a image of Polaris south to the equator, Lemon.
They
Till
talked about
this
this
day,
back in
I hear
Robotham's.
you say it over 2 years.
They talked about this back in Robotham's
I
day.
don't care what they talked about.
I care
Yeah,
because
I don't care. I don't care
changed.
what they talked about. You keep
The truth
repeating
doesn't
this.
change. Liars keep on changing their story, so you have to go back to the past for the truth.
Well, there's not enough cameras on
they
Earth
know
to show us
they
one picture of Polaris south
they
to the
know the
equator.
positions. They know the positions of the stars, not necessarily the distances.
That's true, Merle. But those are the two. Those are the two pieces of data that you need. The position of the GPS of the stars. That's in the almanac. You're right. That's one thing they have, and then the sextant is used to determine your distance to that GP. So those are two pieces of data that you need to do the celestial navigation. But yeah, you're right. You don't know the distance to the GP until you measure it with a sextant.
This is a bunch of diarrhea globe dookie. It works just fine on a flat plane.
No, it doesn't. And by the way, Lemon, real quick, Kosho. Robotham never went south of the equator. We know where Robotham went. So to appeal to a guy that never fucking traveled much, you're wrong. I mean, I was gonna say to damn it, what did you say again, Lemon? Said something.
I said this was nothing
but
but a bunch of globe diarrhea dookie.
No, I remember. Yes, Lemon, because you keep saying that it works on a flat plane and it works on a globe because you looked at it, like we just measured it and we just know what happened, so we could have done that on a flat plane or on a globe. And the only difference is on a globe, we have a geometry that makes it make sense. So it makes sense how it would be linear with the angle and the distance being, changing, 1 degree every 60 miles. It makes sense. There's no mechanism. There's no mechanism in reality that you can describe on how that would happen on a flat plane.
We already described it by describing how it would occur looking down a hallway. You stick a sticker on the ceiling of the hallway, write the words Polaris on it to represent the star Polaris or any heavenly body that you want to, chart or whatever. And you go down the hallway away from the sticker, and you'll notice that it'll dip at a certain rate. It may dip like a degree per foot or a degree per 2 feet or whatever.
No.
That's basically what you did with the flat plane with these heavenly bodies. You just assumed it was a ball in air, but it works on a flat surface the same way.
No,
That's my point. The
it's
limit
not.
is on the hallway. Then this thing that you're saying, it doesn't do it in a regular rate. It'll do it at a rate at which it'll increase more and more as you're moving away at
And
equal
that's what we
intervals.
see on the flat Earth as well. We see that with Polaris around the equator, but you guys just deny it or say that it's refraction or cobble up some cheap, lame excuse. It appears to linger on the horizon with a stretched out rate toward the equator up to 23 degrees past the equator south.
I heard your claim, Lemon. I'm telling you, every object in the sky, every single object, except for the moon, the sun, and all the stars, every single object will decrease at this rate. They will all decrease at this exact rate, where it's 1 degree every 69 miles or 60 nautical miles, and it's an even rate. On the flat plane in the hallway, it's not an even rate. It grows bigger and bigger and bigger as you move away at equal
We
intervals.
can agree to disagree. It happens on the Earth too. You can come up with your lame diarrhea, dookie, globe excuses, but we see this happen with the Earth as well.
We don't. As a matter of fact, we not only don't see it happening, we are so certain it doesn't happen and that it does have a linear rate that we have many, many things that are based on this, including celestial navigation, including the way longitude and latitude are mapped to Earth. Like all these different things are based on the fact that it does indeed move at a linear rate. But we can disagree. We can agree to disagree if you want to.
Why on earth would you agree to disagree with this piece of shit? This pinata's been broken so long. I don't understand how the game's still going on with them. There is no more candy to get.
That's kind of my point. That's the reason I agree to disagree, is because I agree there's no point in saying anything else about it with him.
Well, agreeing to disagree, I mean, you realize the implication of that. So anyway, I know what you mean by it or want to get out of it, but I don't know. I hate that concession myself. Lemon's retarded and a liar. And I don't
Diarrhea, globe dookie.
anything to him. See what he just did? Tell me he's not retarded.
Why won't you let this brown globe turd flush down? Why do you keep on trying to resurrect it out of the toilet bowl curved? I don't understand. If it's round, flush it
You
down.
don't understand. You don't know anything that you're talking about, or you're lying. Take your pick.
If it's round, flush it down, curved.
You can understand the globe. You can
That
understand.
we can talk to about this.
You can understand the globe model. That doesn't make it reality.
No, but let's think about it. We're all four of us men. Why not let's address that? Then Lemon, instead of agreeing to disagree, let's address it, Lemon. That the whole thing with the linear rates. You said it would happen on a globe. I mean, happen on a flat Earth or a globe, whatever. It's not true. You know what I mean? You just kind of said that, but it's not true.
But does something need to be true in order to believe it?
It doesn't have to be
true to believe it. It doesn't have to be true to believe it.
Well, people believe what they want. I mean, look at how they believe the globe lied for 500 years, despite the obvious evidence to the contrary.
We all believed it.
Toilet bowl rhetoric.
We all believed it.
Yeah. Some of us woke up to the truth and accepted it and tried to form our minds and hearts based off of it. Some of us did not.
But that's what you guys claim that we don't understand. That's what I'm saying. You can understand the globe model intricately.
You don't have to claim that you demonstrate it.
No, but there's things I do understand.
Merle, at what point are you guys going to actually demonstrate, that what you woke up to, to the truth? If it's true, you can demonstrate it to be true.
Yeah. That's been the conversation the whole time. The Earth's not
That's the
a
conversation.
globe.
When are you going to
It's not
demonstrate
presenting as a globe.
that what you believe is true?
Well, we don't know what the Earth is. That's where you arrive.
But I thought you woke up to the truth.
Part of the truth is just that we've been told it's a globe, and it obviously isn't. So we don't know what's true. We've been lied to.
I know it's true. I've actually, done measurements on it. That comport with reality. I don't know what. Apparently, you haven't done shit. But you tell us that you woke up to the truth, but you can't demonstrate that it's true. Yeah.
I mean, you can say that, but again, it doesn't make it true.
Mary, what do you know?
You admitted it to when you ripped your ass. Remember the other day when you ripped your ass?
It's simple.
More about what you don't know.
No.
Mary, what is it that
regardless
you
of
said
what
you were
guys
told
know,
and you know it's not true?
Shanky's going to help you out.
Facts are facts. Doesn't
okay,
matter who.
and the fact is, remember the conversation that you and Chemo had, where all the things that he participated in, and you didn't do shit ever, and he ripped your ass about it for about 10 minutes. Yeah,
no,
that's a fact.
I just didn't rise to the occasion. I've been here as long as any of you.
He's denying that happened because I was sitting here listening and chuckling.
I've put as much heart and soul into this as any of you, so fuck off.
No, you haven't. You haven't done a fucking thing, ever.
Yeah, I have. I'm one of the most honest people out here.
No, you don't know.
That's my legacy.
Respect that.
That's my legacy, but I was honest.
But just know that you don't know, Moral. And if you don't know, don't try to tell others.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I know I don't know. At least I'm honest about it. I don't pretend to know like you.
Being honest about it. Yes, you will admit that you don't know, but then you talk as though you do know. So
I know that. I know I don't know.
You don't know.
And that's mysterious. It's exciting. It's scary. It's a lot of things.
It's mental.
It's not. It's obvious. We got punked. It's all right.
It's cold out here. My battery's fucking dying. You're lucky, Merle. You're off the hook till I get home.
Yeah, I'm serious what I said though, Merle. Because I know I'm not gonna put it on you because you weren't really debating it as much as Lemon or Globus, but I mean, some of these things let's pretend like we're not insulting back and forth and we're just having this discussion and asking these questions. Some of these questions, either they have answers or it should bother you that they don't have answers. You know what I mean? Like the questions we were asking Globus and Lemon. I mean, it should bother you that we have answers for it on the globe, but there's no answers. There's no possible answer for it on the flat.
Mel, you should never let them get past the fundamentals, which is angles of elevation, which they don't have on a globe. It's as simple as that.
Well, to have an angle, you have to have a starting point to make the angle off of, and so you don't have that with the globe. You have that with a flat plane.
Globus just
it's as
said
simple as that. You don't have to entertain their equations and their calculations. Blah, blah. You just stop them at the very first step, which they don't have on a globe.
You just made that point, Globus.
It's very simple.
Yeah, no.
You need a flat plane to have angles to work
you got to
on.
start somewhere, right? A to B.
It's fantastic.
And then their supposed 1 degree per 69 miles. It doesn't work.
Hold on a second, Globus. You've already made your point. You just made it twice. That should be enough. If it's a good point, right? Whenever Merle asked about this, last time this was told to him, Lemon, just stop. When this was told to Merle last time, and he asked, okay, well, what's the rebuttal or whatever? And I told you plainly, Merle, that the same thing that what's his name, Blue Marble had said, that the horizon or the horizontal, it doesn't have to be establishing. It doesn't have to use anything on the surface of the Earth to establish the horizontal. You can use there's many different ways to establish a horizontal, including a spirit level or including all different things. Okay. So there's no need to reference the surface of the Earth to establish your horizontal. So
but you need a line.
Is moot.
You need a line, a flat line, and you have a flat plane for that, not a globe.
No, you don't need anything on the ground. You can use a level. You can use a spirit level to establish a horizontal. You don't need to use anything on the surface of on the ground.
That spirit level will have to intersect the horizon, a flat horizon, for you to have an angle.
And no, it won't. The spirit level will just need to be read. The spirit level will just need to be read as level, and then you can just put the sextant so that it's parallel with the spirit level. That's all you have to do.
So we just assume that it's level? How can we do that when we look down a hallway and see the ground ramping up?
That's not an assumption, Lemon. When you have a spirit level, and you're using it to establish a level, there's no assumption that it's level. You're using a spirit level to determine that it's.
You would have to assume that it points out infinitely into space, straight and level. That's a bad assumption without checking it with a laser.
That's how it's defined, Lemon.
Well, it's a bad definition, because if it's off by a hair, it's not going to be straight anymore. So you're going to need to check that definition with a laser, wouldn't you?
Lemon, what you're saying is not making sense. If you establish a level,
that
straight line extends out to infinity in both directions.
So you're just going to assume that it's straight and level from starting point. You might want to double check that with a laser, sir.
Lemon, what you're saying doesn't make sense. If you have a straight line in front of you and it's an imaginary straight line, there's no reason to imagine this imaginary straight line is not straight anymore.
It doesn't make sense that you're assuming that it's straight and level from starting point when you can only level within a certain range. I think they go up to 2 arc seconds or something like that, but beyond that, you can't be assured how level it is or is not. So it'll be level up to a point, but after that, it'll start veering off into space.
Well, that's interesting, because the other day I saw a concrete slab for a house get laid, and they had lasers and spirit levels, and I watched them do the whole thing.
Yeah, so they're using lasers to double check their work. The same lasers that flat earthers are using to disprove the curvature of the earth.
It's like curvature in a fish tank.
Now,
well, again, small scale, they still saw the slab get fucking poured and made.
A spirit level and the level that would establish absolutely have to point into space.
Good was,
it has to go off the curve. That's how we know it's a ball. So check in with a laser that it goes off the ball, because it has to go off the ball. Will tell us that it goes off the ball. So what?
Lemon, those lasers that they're using, how far are they reliable?
I think they use lasers in building projects up to a couple yards and stuff like that, if that. After a while, they'll just diverge off into space, but they're pretty straight and reliable.
Why you want something that is not reliable over a few yards?
For an industry it's the most reliable thing that we have for long distances.
No, it doesn't.
What do you call it? FE core laser test.
Why are you arguing about lasers? You don't need a laser to determine if a spirit level is level. A spirit level is level. You don't need to. If you're making an imaginary horizontal from a spirit level, you're making an imaginary.
An experiment checking the level of a spirit level versus a laser level. That would be fascinating over long distances.
Hold on. When you're making an imaginary line with a spirit level, to make sure that it's level, to make sure that you can make the sextant parallel with this imaginary line that you've created, that's parallel with the spirit level. There's no need to verify that this imaginary line is curving with a laser. That doesn't make sense, what you're saying. Okay? The sextant just needs to be level with the spirit level. Once that's established, you're set. There's no need to verify if that's level at that point, or if that's horizontal. That by definition, it's both. So there's no need to go on with a laser. This is what I don't even know why you're bringing that up.
So to make an angle, you need a flat line, and those are only available on a flat surface, not on a globe.
Surface is not at all involved, for fuck's sake. When you're
But you
measuring
did
the
talk
elevation
about a
angle of
straight
an object,
imaginary
you're measuring
line
the
with your
elevation angle of
spirit
an
level.
object. You're not measuring
You
its
did
angle
talk
from the
about
surface.
a flat
You're measuring its angle from
imaginary line with
horizontal.
the spirit level.
It has nothing to do with the surface, Lemon. You're measuring
But
the
still
elevation angle of an object.
that
You're
line.
measuring
You
the
just
elevation
established an
angle.
imaginary one in your spirit level. That's all.
You're using a horizontal plane that you can establish with whatever you're going to use to establish that, and you're measuring the angle that this object is above that. That's all you're doing. There's nothing to
Relative
do
to
with
the horizon, which is the surface.
No, you can use the horizon, but if you're going to
It's
use the horizon,
relative to the horizon, which is the surface. You just say we don't use the surface. That's actually what you're measuring the angle relative to. You're destroyed right there.
Did you listen to what he
If you're
said?
going to use the horizon, you have to include the dip angle. That's why the dip angle is included. That's what I kept telling you when you brought that up earlier. The dip angle is included in that idea of getting the horizontal because you're using the horizon and you have to add the dip angle. The dip angle is the correction that from the horizon from the horizontal. That's why you add it in.
Yeah. But
there are
more
people
important
who
question
agree.
here, Globus, since you seem to be the flat Earth expert on navigation, how far is 1 degree west down in what is it?
What?
Yeah, they're distracting, bro. That's what this is all
it's the same
about.
old shit.
That's why I joined.
They just want to get away from angles of elevation, which I didn't let him get away with either, earlier. But you know,
Respond to what I said there, man.
Hey, I dropped out.
Running away.
Globus, down in South Africa, how far is
We're
1
not
degree
running
west?
away. You're running away from us. There's people who agree with him too. I could bring them in right now.
But regardless, though, Mel, it's they can't get away from my initial point. They don't, and what Lemon said was perfect as well. They don't have these angles of elevation without a flat baseline. Simple as that.
I've just responded to that, and every way that needs to be responded to, dude. Every way.
With your dip correction bullshit.
What method you're trying to use, you're using the horizontal. If you're going to
Which
reference
is
the
a
surface,
flat line.
Exactly.
No, if you're going to reference the surface by using Lemon, stop. Okay, I'm not everybody else. I'm not going to have this thing where we're fucking stopping each other from fucking finishing what we're saying. All right. If the fuck was this? Oh yeah. So if you're using the horizon, in that case, you have to include the dip angle. If you're using a bubble, then you're gonna use that's all you need. That's all you need to use. All you're doing
Which
is
is an
establishing
artificial
a
horizon. Yeah, artificial
all you're doing is
horizon.
establishing. Yeah, and then what's the artificial horizon?
It's a straight line. That's what it is.
And a straight line where? A straight line horizontal.
It's a horizontal. Yeah, you're on a globe, sir. You don't have that.
Yes, that's
I don't
fine.
know how thick you are that you don't get that.
Okay, do you have a vertical on a globe?
Why are we going to verticals? You don't have a horizontal. Stop trying to weasel out of it.
That's the question.
It's another non sequitur though.
Yes, the answer is
why
yes.
do you keep trying to?
The answer is yes. If you have a
But why
vertical,
you
then you by definition have a horizontal.
See what he does, Mel?
Yeah, they need to because you
seriously,
end the whole thing right there.
Let's not neglect. Let's not answer questions. Okay. If somebody says if there's a vertical on a globe, and you have a vertical, you have a horizontal by definition of those words. If you have a vertical, perpendicular to vertical is horizontal. You have a horizontal. If you're going to deny that,
horizontal...
then you're just denying it because you can't take it for some reason. But
you
it's the
have
truth.
no horizontals, sir. I don't know what language I have to say to you. You have no horizontal on a sphere.
Yeah, we have X, Y, Z. X, Y, Z, G.
Okay, do you have a plumb bob? Do you have a vertical? Yes.
Yeah.
You have both those.
Yes.
Do you have a horizontal? Yes, you have all those.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are just saying this for the sake of it.
No. It makes sense.
Does it make sense that you don't have a vertical?
The horizontal, what he's saying, and I'll back him on this, where is the horizontal on a sphere?
It's tangent. From where your position,
Yeah, they
if
have
you're going
to
to make
draw
a horizontal, if you're going to make a horizontal at your feet on the surface, it's a tangent plane to the sphere.
So
okay, that means that it has to touch the sphere and make a physical horizon with the sphere.
And on this,
No, it doesn't.
You
If it's at
have
your
a
feet,
straight
you can
line off of that
you can
into
raise
the
that. You can raise that plane up to your eyes. It doesn't matter.
on the picture
So
that I
that's
just
why you're
posted,
talking
Kosho,
about the flat plane that's in the air but not intersecting the land.
Kosho, on the picture that I just posted, can you tell me which one is the distance to the GP?
I gotta pull it up now.
It was Dr. Wirus's picture.
The
hilarious.
distance to the GP in your picture there would be that geodesic.
No, it's not my picture.
The length
hold on.
the one you posted. The length of that geodesic would be the distance. Okay?
So the one at the bottom, right?
The curvy thing, the geodesic there, that
Okay,
would be
so-
the length.
So what's the tangent all about then?
The tangent is
Why
where
do
you
you-
measure the elevation from.
Yeah, the tangent.
that-
The tangent is where you are. Okay, so where you put you put the zenith, that's the zenith of the GP. So I don't know why you put the tangent there.
I didn't. That's not my picture.
Okay, well then that's I don't know why that.
Gojo, dude, that tangent there is where you measure the elevation from. The zenith and
Okay,
the
well then,
angle
I don't know why
angle of
it's
zenith is what you really want from your sextant.
You guys need to get your stories
You
straight.
really get wrong.
Yeah, so the
Okay.
other side,
Okay.
where the other side. Hold on. The left side, the left line at the other end. That's the GP then.
And where it says sextant angle there in blue.
It's supposed to be where the person is in this picture.
Where it says sextant angle there in blue, is that actually an angle?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
What's
One at a
marked
time.
there?
Scott, can you just stay out of it? I'm trying to have a conversation here with Kosho. Please, if you can just chill for 5 seconds. How is that an angle when you've got a curved
Well,
baseline?
that's exactly why you have to add in the freaking dip angle.
That's what do you mean?
part
The dip angle has hang on, no. Dip angle has nothing to do with that.
That part that's hanging out past the tangent, that's what you correct for when you add in the dip angle.
The dip angle has nothing to do with it. I'm asking you, is that
Yes, it
actually an
does.
angle? In basic geometry, it says there's sextant angle, which is the angle of
Yes,
elevation.
In actual
That's actually
reality,
an angle?
In actual reality, what you'd be measuring is measuring some object in reference to the horizon.
So you're telling me that is an example of an angle?
Yeah, that's what you would measure with the sextant.
All right, I'm done here then. Guys, you've heard it here first. Angles with curved baselines. Thank you very much.
No.
That has to do with anything.
Can I do
The
that
Earth
one?
is not the baseline, man.
Kosho, please. Now, normally with a sextant, because it's made for use on a ship that is swerving about, you aim to the horizon and you subtract the dip angle, what's marked there as dip, and you will likely see the horizon well before you see the GP, because you're going to be measuring like 45 degrees or something in this case. So you will see the horizon well before you subtract that dip to get your actual tangent, and that's it.
And that dip angle
Usually
depicted
it's a couple of degrees. It's one of the first things in your almanac is going to be your double angle correction. It corrects for your altitude, your elevation, and it corrects for some temperature stuff. And
all right, cool. So that green dip, that's actually another example of an angle there?
Yes,
with a curved baseline
the
again?
angle is an angle, yes.
No, well, I'm talking about the picture that somebody.
Yes, the dip angle to the horizon is an
okay,
angle.
so that is an example of an angle there with a curved baseline. You agree with that picture?
The dip angle.
No, you disagree?
Shh.
You disagree?
What you're going to be looking at is the horizon. On the globe, the horizon is going to be a point.
Oi, fuckface. Is that actually an angle or not with a curved baseline? It's a simple
not a curved baseline.
question.
It is not a curved baseline. You're going to be looking at the horizon, which is a point. And you're going to be looking at where the actual tangent is to your position. So it's going to be an angle from that point to your actual tangent. That's it.
But is that actually depicting an angle?
Well, do you have a reference?
It's wrong in the picture because
Oh, thank you. It's
the
wrong, isn't
observer
it?
is not elevated.
That's actually not an angle, is it?
You have a
Perfect.
reference?
The observer is not elevated, so whatever angle he will see to his horizon is going to be zero.
That's not my point. That's not my
That's a
point.
guy
You
dug
keep
into the
trying to
sand
gloss
for you.
over my point. It's fine. I know you want to avoid it. Is
No.
that
You have a
actually
uniform
showing
reference.
an angle or not? Is that what an angle looks like?
Yes.
Do you have a uniform reference?
Yes.
Yes.
That's actually an angle with a
between
curved
two
baseline.
points. No lines, points. Angle between points, not lines.
In actuality, that's
You
defining
guys,
the
oh my
horizon.
god.
It's defining the horizon. So your position to the horizon, there's nothing blocking
All
it.
right,
So there's a
cool.
straight line between you and the horizon.
So you can
Perfectly
have a curved baseline with angle
No,
measurements.
no
Cool.
you can
No
have
worries.
points.
Keep saying curve
That's
baseline.
actually
We'll
that's
tell you a
depicting
point.
a curve.
No.
The
don't
baseline
care.
of that angle is
Dude, that's supposed to
curved.
represent the
No
horizon, man.
baseline.
Yeah,
No.
of course it's in your globe belief, but
No.
that's not how it works, is it? In reality, that's not how
Because-
angles work in
No, the
reality,
base-
is it?
The
Dude.
base of this.
It's supposed to represent your belief, but that's
base-
not
It's
reality.
representing,
No.
It's representing
Wait,
the horizon, dude.
I
It's
see where the
representing your
problem
belief
is.
of what the horizon is, a
I
curved
see where the
curved
problem
line.
is. Hold on. The base to this angle is the zenith. Is the zenith line, not the line,
No,
the
it's
curve of the
not.
Earth, not the
No,
curve of
it's
the Earth. Hello, not the curve
so
of
this
the
picture's
Earth.
wrong.
It's the straight zenith line. That's the base of this angle. And from
That's
that
the
you have
base
the
of this angle?
horizontal,
You're
which
talking
is
about the
90
baseline.
degrees. Yes. What do you mean baseline of an
You
angle?
see, if you get
Where you measure it from? Listen.
The base
You have
curve
the
instead of the
zenith.
baseline.
You have the zenith. You have the horizontal, which is perpendicular to it in brown, and all the angles are relative to those lines. and the center
It's been
point
dropped in that
where they
picture, man.
and
Sorry?
where
It
they
says angle of zenith in the picture.
Now, guys, the problem with this picture is that it's drawn with an unelevated observer or sextant user.
Yeah.
So he,
doesn't
he's
even
just-
matter though. That doesn't even
Hey,
matter.
let me fucking finish the point. He's not elevated, meaning he's basically has his eye at water level. And because of that, the dip angle he will see is going to be largely zero. If he was,
he's drawn the horizon.
yeah,
dude,
there's a missing straight line.
if he was elevated to where that little square that indicates 90 degrees there, if he was at that point where that goes to zenith, his line to the horizon line would be tangential to the curve, okay? Meaning that would be a point, and his tangent there in his own location would be another point, another line. And that dip angle would be the angle between two lines, not a curved line, a line, straight one.
I don't think that's necessary to define, though. If you can see the horizon there, then it's clear that the dude is high enough, has at a perfect height to where the horizon is where those lines are. So just imagine that the observer is not on the ground; he's at exactly where he needs to be for that to be his horizon.
Yes,
Seems
because
like all
he's
the
dug into
definitions
the
of
ground,
angle are
and he
there.
doesn't have a dip angle at all. The dip
Well,
angle
obviously
doesn't
not on the
exist in this. The reason that Globus is dancing around you with this dip angle is that your observer in this picture is dug into the ground and looking over sea level.
You don't. That's what I'm saying. But it's implied that he's off the ground. It's implied by the fact that there's a horizon there. Just there's no need to move the. He's not. He's obviously not on the ground. He's at
The
exact
simple
height where
question
that
is, do you have, for an angle, you need to have 3 points, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, you got 3 points. Globus, you're wrong. Doesn't matter horizons, doesn't matter all this shit. You've got 3 points. I could go out into outer space.
You guys don't
and just
understand
stick
the
myself
basics, the very basics of angles. I mean,
I could
what
put
are we
myself
even
at a
doing
random
here?
point somewhere in space, and I could look out at 3 objects, myself and 2 other objects, and I could get angles.
Oh,
Yeah.
great story. With straight lines, right?
Anyway,
with straight lines,
the real
right?
point here
Hang
being,
on, sort. With straight lines, right? My yoke. Thank you. All right, I'll see you guys
so
later.
I corrected the picture and I added the straight line from the observer to the what you think is a curved baseline. That's the straight line from the observer. That's the angle.
I don't even think that's necessary, man.
Well, he doesn't understand it.
It's enough to know that his
He
horizon
doesn't
is there.
understand it.
He's intentionally attempting to obfuscate.
He's obviously at a height that makes that horizon his horizon.
Yeah. But when you do it the way Dr. Virus redrew it here, it's absolutely clear that that is a line and the tangent is another line. And then the dip is the angle between two lines. Okay?
Now we have determined that protractors and everything don't measure angles. Sextants don't measure angles. Well, they seem to have those little angle things on them. And they come up with uniform results across multiple people in multiple locations.
He's gone anyway.
He's
done a runner.
It seems very angle-esque to me.
Of course he's done a runner because we were getting to the wonderful question of how...
That was the end of it.
The question would then be, how far is 1 degree west where our friend Globus is at? Is it more than 69 miles or less? And for somebody who's schooling us on use of navigational tools, he would know that, wouldn't he?
For the people who are serious about this, it's like I don't understand how they get sucked into the stupidity of these flat earthers.
I guess it's growing up believing that you're on a planet.
No, this has nothing to do with planet. You're arguing against the fact that sextants measure angles. You're arguing against something. I'm looking at my device. It's showing me an angle. It's going to objects that are measurable, and you're saying that no, that's not an angle because Globus said.
I'm not saying that.
Oh, I thought you were agreeing with Globus.
Meryl, I heard that at this time of the year, the sun is circling some point south to you.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Really? How's it doing that? It's up at the tropics, isn't it?
No. At his summer, it's moving from circling the North Pole to circling some point above the south.
Holy shit. Oh, the wonders never cease. Australian flat earthers have the least excuse.
Yeah, Lemon can say whatever he wants, but you that see the sun circling the south.
Thank you for listening to Are You Smarter Than a Flat Earther?
What?
We hope you enjoyed
Come
the
on,
show.
what?
We'll be back next time with more.
You can say it's circling the north because you see it